What is up, everybody? Welcome to the first Metal Crate podcast. It's been a busy week here, just setting up the website and getting out a few blogs, trying to sort of get into a scheme of having an organised method of when and how to actually release these blogs. But at the moment, it's just been whenever I think of something, I just write it down. I work full time anyway, so it's usually just sort of on the journey to or from work or during my lunch break, whenever I get home, whatever. There's always things going through my mind. Both myself, Mark, and Luke, the other guy who's going to be posting quite a bit on the site. We've both thrown out a couple of blogs, and it's really been quite interesting actually. It's something I've done before in the past, but never sort of actually. Really, I don't really know how to explain it. It's just not something that I've ever had my own sort of blog. I've blogged with other people on other sites. It's quite interesting, the whole process. We've had a few good topics come up in conversation this week. Actually, I released one post on a band called Gold Key. If you haven't heard of them, I went to see them live. I can't remember where, King's Cross in London, in Scala. They were supporting Arcane Roots. Obviously amazing. I'd never heard of Gold Key before, but really calm music. Really sort of. It's I'm not sure how to describe it. Really, it's sort of tap your feet kind of music. Everybody was sort of standing there with a beer. Just really calm. Arcane Roots absolutely blew it out of the water though when they came on. Started off so calm, and then it just kicked in. The mosh was amazing. I was actually there just after work, so I was wearing a full sort of suit, shirt, trousers, shoes, blazer, and the whole thing just erupted around me, and it was absolutely amazing, absolutely crazy. Especially after a few beers. It always seems to help. But no, I'm struggling to hear right now because I was at I think it's Baseline or something like that, on a Friday night in Camden, again in London. There's a nightclub called Underworld, and they do. It's a pretty good night. They just play sort of rock and metal songs, sort of punk rock, stuff like that. It's a really weird mix, but the music is so loud, and doesn't help that I had a few drinks, so the headache is sort of partially my own fault, partially due to the music. But yeah, there's one post that I won't mention on here because it was sort of it's a bit of a sensitive topic. It was just something I wanted to get out, and we don't really get many views, but the few people who have read us, mainly coming through WordPress Reader, have seemed to take an interest, and there's been a lot of support. So as far as it goes, when you're getting sort of 5 views per post, but everybody seems to be enjoying it so far. I'd like to think anyway. So throw out sort of an introductory post, and then a couple. So, for example, one on the first sort of actual post I did, other than the Welcome to Metal Crate one, was people, places, potential. We just covered the different sort of ways there are to get out there and meet new people and discover new bands, and it's really all just about my experience in how I've met people and how I've discovered new bands. For example, Gold Key, just turned up expecting to see Arcane Roots. I'd actually never really listened to Arcane Roots. It was something that just sort of came up, and it was a week where I had no plans and the tickets were cheap, so grabbed them, just turned up, listened to a few Arcane Roots songs beforehand. I'm one of these people who like to know the words, especially maybe not if I go to sort of like when I go to see Whitechapel or Thy Art Is Murder, really sort of intense deathcore. You don't really need to know the words. Everything sort of just blurs after a little while. You had a few drinks, and the crowd's absolutely going for it, and there's pits opening up. Music, like, well, the music matters, but the lyrics really don't matter. But if you're gonna go see somebody like Golkir or Arcane Roots, or something like that, where it's just sort of there's actually singing for a start, and no, it's nice. It's nice to be able to sing along. That's just my personal preference. Some people don't really care. I mean, for example, if you're going just to discover new bands, obviously you won't know who they are. You may know one or two of the acts, but then again, you're just sort of there to see that one band. But there's always bands to be sort of discovered who are supporting. There's so many times where for example, I went to see, it was a while ago actually, I went to see Bring Me the Horizon in the O2. Absolutely amazing. We got I think they call it the Blue Room Access or something like that. It really, really sort of felt like a VIP. It was absolutely amazing. But I discovered Don Broco there, which if you're not familiar with Don Broco, it's sort of it's almost cheesy. Some of the songs are really cheesy, but it's sort of hard rock. It's not. Some of their older music actually is a little bit of screaming, sorry, and they sort of just toned it down. They're very sort of upbeat, very pop rock almost. But no, definitely worth listening to. I discovered them when I went to see Bring Me the Horizon, and now I actually may travel down to Bristol. I think they've got a gig in February or something like that. It should be a good night actually. If I end up going, it's just Bristol is a little bit of a journey from London. It's about 2 hours by train, and then you've got to pay for accommodation and stuff like that. I know the area pretty well, but I know the centre fairly well. But I don't know. It's a bit of a mission just for maybe like an hour of a decent band. Who, I haven't seen them live in a while, so sometimes, I mean, seeing a band first time live is always probably the best experience of seeing that band. Obviously, if they let you down, then it's a little bit hard to recover. Wasn't too happy with the Artist Murder's performance just before Christmas. Actually, it's I don't know. I've seen them before. I see them when they were supporting with Parkway Drive, and they were absolutely amazing. Again, I hadn't really known who Thy Art Is Murder were. I knew Parkway Drive really, really well. Not so much anymore, but they just, I don't know, they didn't live up to the expectation and sort of the bar that they'd set before, which was a shame, because I was actually with a couple of people and I was really saying, this is going to be amazing, you're really going to love Thy Art Is Murder, absolutely going to smash it. But I don't know, they had a few really, really good songs, sort of, like The Reign of Darkness, for example, and I'm pretty sure they played that. I'm pretty sure it's been a while since that happened, and I've slept since then, so I absolutely can't remember. But I don't know. Sometimes it happens though. Sometimes singers or guitarists or whatever, they just have an off day, and sometimes you also just set the bar a little bit too high, or for whatever reason. There's so many ways that can sort of have an effect on the quality of music. I've been to a couple of gig venues before where there's sort of bad sound systems and a little bit of overcrowding, and just the noise from the crowd sort of just tones down the whole night, and it's not really a problem. It's pretty much expected, especially if you go into smaller venues, sort of the pubs with 20 people standing around a small stage. It's really you can't really expect the best sound systems. But I've completely forgot the point I was going on to. Actually, I was talking about Golkir, Arcane Roots. No, that's what I was saying. I was writing up on just the different ways that I meet I meet people and I meet different bands and discover different bands, and it's just saying, sort of, even using Spotify playlists, for example, just throw it on shuffle, just listen, write down any bands that you like, listen to a few more of their songs. That's a great way. I'm always meeting people as well, sort of, if you go on a night out, for example, I can't remember what gig it was, but I was on the way home, started talking to a couple of guys who had been to the same gig on the tube. We were probably talking for about 20 minutes, and they were telling me, listen to a band called Fire from the Gods, they're absolutely amazing, nothing like I'd ever sort of heard before, I'd never heard of them before, listen to them, and wow, it was impressive, and I listened to them quite a lot lately. They're really enjoyable band. If you like sort of rap in metal, there's a little bit. I think they even throw a little bit of reggae in there and stuff. They're quite unique in what they do. I know there are other bands like that, and that's good for them. But if you like sort of rap in metal, or a little bit of sort of the unusual, the unexpected, then they're worth listening to. Actually, I think they've only got the one album out at the moment. They're not. No, actually, no. I think they've got a few. They've been around for a little while. Really, really waiting for the chance to go see them live. I think they're touring in America at the moment, so won't be seeing them anytime soon. Definitely won't be flying out to America to go and see a single band. Maybe for a festival or something. But that's an expensive trip for a gig. I think I'll stick to going to see Don Brocco in Bristol. Or maybe not. But no, there wasn't really too much else that came out. We're going to try to get a few reviews out on bands, just like I was talking about, just mentioning a couple of bands for you to listen to. I'd like to do the same sort of thing on a regular basis, just to get some smaller bands out there, people that you wouldn't have known of before, and then hopefully you can discover some new bands. Another one of the ways that I was saying about sort of getting to know people or getting to know bands is using just social media. Most people have Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, or the one that I used to use was Metal Amino. That was pretty interesting. You sort of, I don't think it's very popular. I know it's very niche. I think they do have a lot of aminos. They have different ones for sort of gaming and whatever you're interested in. There's sort of subgenres, sub social media. So it's Metal Amino. You sign up, you can set up your profile, and then there are chat rooms, essentially. So people will be discussing different bands or their favourite gigs or news that's coming out or news that's just sort of happened, and it's pretty good. There was a lot of sort of band recruitment. I noticed a couple of people sort of local to me were looking for vocalists or guitarists, and unfortunately I'm not talented when it comes to music, so I think I'll just stick to listening to it, at least at least for now. I haven't been in any hurry to sort of try to pick up a guitar or something and learn. I did try to learn the violin, actually. That was a bit of a disaster, really. But no, hopefully you can enjoy just me rambling on. I'm going to try to get out a few podcasts quite frequently. We'll also be posting more and more blogs, and I'll probably upload this podcast to YouTube and also to the website, so metalcrate.co.uk. And hopefully things can go smooth. I've got a couple of plans. I've got a couple of bands I want to write up a few reviews on. I'm just trying to make sure I do everybody a little bit of justice when I bring up these sort of posts, because I know it's hard to not have sort of I don't know. Everybody has their own opinion, but if I was to say that you shouldn't listen to this band because they're bad, it's not fair for the band or for anybody who's reading, who's just going to be misled. Because, well, everybody has their own opinion, and my opinion will vary from your opinion, and your opinion will vary from somebody else's opinion. So I try to just keep these things very generalised and just sort of describe what the band is, not necessarily what I think of the band, but it's really just intended so that you can one day, once we've got a little bit more content on the website, sort of just go into your browser, go to the website, scroll through, pick a couple of bands that we've wrote on, find something that's suitable for you, and then just check them out. I'll be posting links for things like their YouTube channels or Spotify playlists that they're in, or even social media. So hopefully that will be a great way for you to sort of discover bands, because that's what we're here to do. That's the mission. That's what I never really had that great of a knowledge of how to discover bands, and it seems really simple. But until you know something, you don't really know these things. So I didn't know that I could just sort of turn up to a gig and ask people, because there was a point where I very rarely went to gigs, and I'd only ever been to about 1 or 2 gigs until the sort of last year, where I've just been booking like absolute crazy, and I want to also try to get in maybe a couple of festivals as well in the next few years. Just sort of, I've never been, like to experience it. Usually a couple of hours at a gig and a couple of pints is enough for me. I don't know if I can handle sort of several days of blowing music. I had a couple of hours last night and my ears are absolutely killing me. So I don't know. Maybe there's a few more ways that I can sort of pick up different bands quicker. And there's a couple of good YouTube channels actually, and I'll probably mention them. One of the YouTube channels I watch, Trunk Reacts, he does a little talk, explains sort of who's referred the band, like who's asked him to listen to it, and then he'll just listen to the song, give his opinion on what he thinks. But he posts so many different videos. I think he brings out like 5 a day sometimes. It's absolutely crazy. And it's just good because I can scroll through, I can listen to so many different bands, and he always seems to do different bands. He doesn't really repeat the same, maybe like after a couple of months. But he's definitely worth checking out, even if you sort of just click on the video and just sort of watch or listen to the song and don't see the reaction or whatever. It's just another good way of discovering different bands and different music, and there's probably a couple of different types of music that you never realised that you like. I recently discovered metal step, and because I'm a fan of dubstep or anything with sort of like a beat like that, and no, it's really good. I can't remember the name of the guy actually, but there was again another YouTube channel that I've been sort of subscribed to, just puts metal step playlists, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I actually discovered it in a nightclub one Friday night. There was sort of, I think it was like a Mice and Men song, and they'd just thrown some beats onto it, but it actually sounded really good. And I was like, what is this? What is this kind of music? And, well, it's sort of, I don't know. It's hard to explain. Maybe you should go give it a listen. If you like dubstep or anything like that, then you might be interested in metal step. It tends not to be overly heavy. They tend to be quite I don't know. It probably could go a lot heavier. Maybe I just haven't discovered the right sort of producers, sort of artists, or whatever. Or maybe, I don't know. It's I don't know. It's getting to the point where I'm confusing myself a lot here. But No, for now, what I'm going to do is wrap up. So, thanks for listening in. If you have anything at all that you'd like to mention, just throw it down for a comment, and you can check us out and read our latest content and more to come on metalcrate.co.uk. Cheers for listening, guys.